Hello class, Professor Ford here. I hope you're having a nice Sunday. I hope you and your families had a nice 4th of July holiday and that you enjoyed having a brief respite, at least from the answering of questions for this class. We're going to be back at it this week though. Thank you for turning in your homework as well. I offered each of you individual feedback on D2L at the Dropbox, so if you have not checked that out, please do check that out, and your grades are up there too. So hopefully that'll give you all a good baseline about where you are in this class. For the most part, people are doing well. If there's any issues, you would have heard from me individually, so know that going in. I think the key takeaway from the assignment is that there is no one perfect way to present budgeting information. You want to make sure that you keep it short and simple, because you're presumably presenting this to decision makers like a city council or a state legislative committee who has a lot on their plate. So they don't have a lot of time or a lot of patience for getting as in-depth to the issue as you are, who you might be living this. So you want to keep it simple, 1 or 2 pages. You want to utilize bullet points and white space when possible, so it's actually attractive to the eye. You want to make it really easy. You want it to read at an 8th grade level, so a layperson can understand it, that it's not something where someone needs to understand jargon, because if people don't understand the words, if you're using very specific jargon, they're not keen to vote for something like that. You also want to anticipate the questions that they would ask. It's very helpful for you, instead of, if you're going in front of a city council to defend a budget proposal, it's nice that you don't have to tell them, trust me, these are the answers to the questions, but you can actually show them in the document that, no, yeah, thank you for your question. As you can see on page 1, bullet point 3 of the document I gave you a week ago, this is the answer to your question. So overall, you did a very nice job. When you're doing this in the real world, which many of you might have already, you want to make sure you tailor it toward your audience, because you are there, you have the information, you're trying to guide them to the decision you want to be made. So nice job on that. In terms of the message board discussion, there's a little bit of discussion, even though it wasn't required, but I think the key takeaway here is that a capital budget is a fundamentally different animal than a operating budget, and they should be separated because of that fact, mostly because capital expenses tend to be long-term expenses. 15 or 5, 10, 15, 30-year long-time use costs, as opposed to an annual budget where you're just trying to get from year to year. On that note, those of us living in the state of Wisconsin, I think most of you are, it's kind of interesting that we don't have a state budget right now. The fiscal year ended June 30th, but we are without a state budget. Now, unlike other states, we don't shut down. We just revert to the previous year's budget. But keep in mind, that means we're using an old plan, a plan that was developed over 2 years ago. So keep that in mind. That's not necessarily the best way to be doing business, but it should be fun to watch, at least for those of us interested in budgeting processes. Okay, on to next week. Things get a little more normal. Make sure you read chapter 6 of the Menafield text, and we're really starting to get into hard skills here, and that'll be one of your homework assignments. So there's going to be a little bit of math involved, but you'll find some of the really basic, widely used techniques in kind of the hard practice of budgeting. So things like discounting, things like converting money to present-day value, things like rate of return, things like cost-benefit analysis. That's all going to be in the reading, and I think you'll find this to be a very practical week. So please read chapter 6. There is one question that you are required to answer that is posted on the message boards, and please do finish that by the end of day Wednesday, and make sure you respond to one of your classmates by Friday. And then the written assignment is on page, looking at it right now, page 179 of the Menafield text. And this is where you are working for the fictional city of Harriston, and you'll be converting, discounting. You'll be converting a $30,000 annual expense to present-day value. It's not difficult. You can do it in Word if you want to, but you might want to do it in Excel, because then you can do the calculations right in Microsoft Excel. And Excel is just a good skill to have, a good hard skill to have. But in the reading, page 169, table 6.1, You'll see a template for exactly how you do this, how you discount cash flow, and you should follow that when you complete this assignment. So please do turn it in to the D2L Dropbox, and I look forward to reading that, and I look forward to reading your discussions this week. Good luck.